So in this video, we're going to be tactically analysing the Leeds United versus Everton game. We're going to be looking at Leeds' 3-1 or 3-2 build-up, as well as Everton's deep block and counter-attack. Starting with Leeds United, they typically set up in a 2-4 from goalkeeper or a 3-1 or a 3-2 in midfield. Generally, Everton allowed them to build up from deep, with Everton's pressing intensity increasing as Leeds enter Everton's half. Everton avoided pressing higher because Leeds often played 1-2 touch through the Everton press, and with the amount of space that a high press potentially creates, Everton wanted to avoid that. So focusing on that 3-1 or 3-2 midfield, the three centre-back had a rolling cast, of course the two centre-backs, but then it could also be one of the full-back or Leeds' number 8 Roca dropping into the back line, typically with Adams being the holding midfielder. Leeds had a strong left-hand side focus, with their forwards and other midfielders narrowing towards that side. So we're thinking of Sinistera and Aronson both playing towards that left-hand side. This was despite Onana, the defensive midfielder for Everton, patrolling the space between the lines to help with the counter press when Leeds lost possession. Typically when it was pressing higher up the pitch, Struijk would move into a CDM position, but in more typical open play, it would be Nissen, the right back. When Everton sought to compress the space Leeds were playing in on that left-hand side, then Nissen, the right back, would move from that right CDM position into more of a right midfield position. Because Sinistera had moved into a more central position, they needed an outlet. They needed to be able to have a player to whom they could switch the play. Next, let's talk briefly about Jesse Marsch's substitutions. Of course, a big loss with Rodrigo going off injured. Gerhardt came on initially to give them a lot of energy, and then later on Bamford. Bamford was very useful focal point, very distinguished, great touch, ability to spread play despite pressure, allowing Leeds to move up the pitch much quicker while still retaining momentum and possession. When Click came on, there was more balance to Leeds' play, so they were more willing to attack down either side, with him looking to float between the lines and play those passes into the forwards or play crosses from slightly deeper positions in those wider spaces. And of course, with him floating from left to right, he could also make those late runs as well as help recycle possession. And with that, let's move on to Everton's tactics. When Everton did regain the ball, whether it was from Leeds' play just breaking down or maybe pressure in the centre circle, they sought to focus their counter-attack down the left-hand side, with Iwobi making over or underlapping runs with Gordon to try and distract players from him, as well as also potentially allow an early through ball into Demarai Gray, creating kind of a 1v1 for him versus Koch. And with that, let's have a look at some examples. Okay, so in this scenario, we're going to be able to have a look at Everton's 4-5-1 shape, and then also their game management, as well as also Leeds' shape in possession and their use of switches. So starting off here, we've got Adams, the CDM. He's dropped into a third centre-back position, and that's allowed Struijk to be able to push up into this left midfield position. That's going to put pressure on McNeil to want to drop and kind of ruin what is a really nice 4-5-1 here by Everton. Note here also, this is Sinistera and how narrow he's come. And then you've got here Aronson dropping from deep, coming from between the lines to try and help link play. This was something that also Sinistera did on occasion. We end up seeing a long ball here by Llorente out into this wide space for Struijk and Harrison to contest. And then you end up seeing Nissen, the right back, coming back from that touchline where he was giving that the option to potentially switch towards the right hand side. He's going to move back towards more of like a right CDM position, getting set in case they need to be able to counter press. Speaking of counter press, we can see Adams here setting up for a counter press. This situation here on the left hand side has a good chance of breaking down for Leeds, and so he needs to get up and help Struijk and Harrison. Everton win a throw-in, and this was a typical sight. You'd end up with Patterson rubbing the ball on his shirt to dry it a lot. Of course, given Everton scored first, it was expected that they tried to manage the game and break up Leeds' momentum. Unfortunately, with Demarai Gray being the one leading the line, you don't really have a good focal point for throw-ins, and so Everton end up giving Leeds back the ball. And now we've got Roca dropping to become that central centre-back, whilst Koch and Llorente are the wider centre-backs, with Adams looking to try and get back into a CDM position. And so Leeds play the ball towards the right-hand side and then almost immediately play the ball back to Koch, and he plays the ball long into Harrison again. Okay, so note here, Gerhardt dropping, just like Rodrigo wanted to drop from the central spaces to try and help link the play. So in this scenario, we're going to see similar, except in this occasion they actually go down the right hand side. Here Demarai Gray is going to look to try and put a bit of pressure on Llorente and force him into playing towards the right hand side. Before that, it's good to just point out Nissen again, this being your right back, holding the width on the right hand side, and then the rest of your forwards, including here Sinistera, your right midfielder, it's come very narrow towards this left hand side. Okay, so Leeds play the ball towards the right hand side, but then immediately look to hit back towards this left hand side again. Of course, playing the ball towards the right forces Everton to react and forces them to move across, shift across towards that right hand side, and potentially opens up space here on the left, which Koch is looking to exploit here. The ball is defended in this space and ends up with Struijk, and we can see Adams, our CDM, looking to try and come across and provide an option. And just note that this is Rocker. This is your second centre midfielder, the one with more license to push higher up the pitch. Again, he's looking to try and create disorganisation in this left hand side by helping to overload it. Harrison ends up playing the ball back, creating that 3 at the back that I mentioned. We've got Sinistera dropping deeper, looking to try and link play with Rocker as the other in that 3-2 shape. We've got Nissen, the right back again. He's looking to hold the width on that right hand side, and Everton still looking to hold that 4-5-1 deep block. So you've got the 4 at the back with Onana shielding that central space, trying to pick up Aronson, and Davies and Iwobi as the wide centre midfielders in what is essentially here a 4-1-4-1 or 4-5-1. On this occasion, a little bit of slick passing here between the right back and right midfielder, releases Sinistera in this right hand side channel, and he's able to whip a really wicked ball in that corridor of uncertainty, landing at the feet of Harrison, who unfortunately floods his lines. Okay, so lastly here with this example in the 70th minute, we've got Everton playing it very quickly from back to front, looking to try and put pressure on those second balls. Of course, this is Leeds, so on the pass back from Patterson, we've got Gerhardt looking to try and put pressure towards Cody, with the other Leeds forwards looking to support this press. So we can see that here with Gerhardt continuing the press, and then we've got Aronson as well making that run from deep, looking to try and put some pressure on Tarkowski, and Klich is going to support this by putting pressure on Onana and preventing the easy pass out. Tarkowski is able to get the ball back into Cody, and he chips the ball. Damari Gray has pulled towards this right hand side, looking to help contest the second ball off Cody's long ball. And so we see Damari Gray, as expected, losing this aerial duel versus Llorente. We've got Struijk higher up the pitch. Where Leeds sought to put pressure higher up the pitch, Struijk moved into a left CDM position, allowing Leeds to essentially play like a 3-2-3-2 press, but they rarely had opportunity to do that, given Pickford used every opportunity to kick the ball as far as possible. Okay, and we see here, after a little bit of head tennis by the Leeds defence, the forwards who are looking to contest those second balls, as well as also Davies looking to try and put pressure, potentially catch Rocker out here. Unfortunately for Everton, a little bit of slick passing by Leeds here, with this many Everton players committed higher up the pitch, allows Leeds to be able to, one, bypass Onana, who was just great defensively all game, and get the ball into Gerhardt beyond Onana, and get what was the start of a counter-attack, which they quickly prevented with a foul. Okay, and with that, thanks for watching. Consider sharing this on social media if you liked it, as well as subscribing. And if you enjoyed these videos, consider watching our most recent upload of Southampton versus Manchester United, or have a look at this season's playlist. And with that, we're out.